What do you got?
So I want to spend some time talking about Michkov because he's a guy that you've repeatedly been on record saying is essentially if there was no long-term contract and no Russian factor, he would be in consideration for the first overall pick with Bedard. And you look at the Minnesota Wild situation, right? Bill Guerin's basically said, we're not changing shit. Like, we're not veering off the course. And it's not a failure to lose in the first round. So, like, okay, things aren't going to be great for the next 2 years until we get out of cap hell. He's got 3 years left on his deal, correct? So imagine getting through these buyout dollars, finally having money to spend and loading up, and then boom, the second year outside of cap hell, you inject basically the next coming of Kaprizov, a mid-20s stud from Russia, locked and loaded on an entry-level contract that you inject into whatever lineup you've built to be playoff ready. Obviously a big stretch, not a realistic thing at all, but from your perspective with what you know about this player and the impact he could have on the lineup, what's the furthest length you'd be willing to go as far as putting together a package to bring Michkov in as a prospect for the Minnesota Wild?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's like, it's kind of hard to imagine how much, because like even if it wasn't Michkov, right? Like it's hard to imagine what it would cost to move that far up in the draft. So I'm trying. I know that's not
what it would cost. What is the most you would pay? Like, what is your top dollar, knowing that you could maybe come back from it? Like, how far would you be willing to go because of how much you love this player?
It's even then though, it's still like impossible to completely answer, because there's, even with the caveat of how good he is, and even if he like as a player hits his potential, there's still so much risk in what you are doing. You don't even know if the fucking like Russia situation, whatever you want to call it, not even fixes itself, but like gets any better by that time. You don't really know what's going to happen the next couple of years. He could get like suffer some kind of crazy injury that whatever. So like realistically, I have a hard time like including players and prospects in a trade to move up in the draft for any player outside of like Connor Bedard, because you still just have no idea. But and like if they're dead set on trading Addison, I still would like to have something more that's more like a sure thing, like a little bit less like unpredictable or risky than a player who in theory should be an absolute stud, in theory has the same kind of, or well, similar kind of potential as Connor Bedard. Because even with Michkov, he is what he is. Like the kid's talent, there's no question. He's in terms of like pure ceiling potential, whatever. He's right there with Bedard, probably maybe a little lower. But he, at the end of the day, he's still a 5'10" winger who you don't even know, like, you know that you probably have to wait 3 years. Like, he's not going to come over. So if you told me that there was just like shit in terms of like, if you're trading Addison, the return's like just complete dog shit, realistically, I'd probably, whatever, like the first round pick, you swap another pick in Addison. So like one of their
this year's first, next year's first, Addison is as far as you'd be willing to go.
No, I wouldn't add next year's first already. I still wouldn't do it.
Oh, okay. Well, then this is like a completely unnecessary hypothetical, because that's just never going to happen.
Here's the thing though, like there are plenty of like, so some of my buddies who are like, who I talk to who know a lot of the scouts, NHL and stuff. There are people who like will tell you, yeah, we're pretty sure he's still gonna go top 5. Then there's other guys that'll tell you he could honestly slip to like 9 or 10, just because it's so crazy.
But so here's where I want to go then, Z, because like we talked before about hypocrisy, and I won't go that far here, but you've been very firm on record that if he goes past San Jose, you think that's batshit crazy. And if you talk about the cost, right, to get a guy with all the risks you just talked about, hey, obviously injury is always a thing, but we've got the Russia geopolitical thing. You got to wait 3 years. And I think Minnesota's as good as any other team to be okay waiting those 3 years for the talent you're talking about. Why would you, if you're San Jose and we think based on what everyone's saying, the Pronmans, the McKenzies, whatever, you're choosing at that point between a Michkov and a Leo Carlsson? Why are you assuming all of that risk for Michkov when you can just take Carlsson? Like, why is that different than the Wild giving up whoever they're taking later in the first, giving up 1 or 2 prospects who have no guarantee that they're going to pop in the league? Like, tell me what the difference is there.
I'm trying to figure out what the question is. Like, exactly.
Why are you so firm that the Sharks should take him at 4 when Carlsson is right there, ripe for the picking? But you think for the Wild, it's...
I don't think Carlsson should be there. I don't think Carlsson should be there. No, I don't think, because it sounds like Will Smith is going 3rd, which is...
Sounds like he's going crazy. 3rd, which you disagree with, but I'm saying if San Jose is looking at Carlsson versus Michkov, who are you taking?
I'm probably taking the sure thing in Carlsson, because that's a kid that could be your first line center.
Okay, then
that's a kid. That's a kid that could play next year. Totally. Like he could play in the NHL right now. You could plot.
I thought you were the other way. I thought you were pretty firm that San Jose, regardless of whether it's Smith or Carlsson, that's still there.
This is before I thought Will Smith was even a possibility going top 3. It sounds like that's going to happen. I don't think he should. I love Will Smith. I love him to death.
Miami, party in the city where the heat is on, jock jams, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about, baby. If you're taking Will Smith at 3, you are like so convinced that he's hitting his ceiling. Yeah. Like, I still can't. Like, it's whatever.
I don't agree with it either. Okay, let's say Carlsson's off the table. Okay, Carlsson goes 3. Are you taking Michkov over everyone else that's available? You've talked about how much you love Benson. We've got Smith there for consideration. Like, is it still you're totally sold on the upside being enough to outweigh the risk?
Yep.
So,
but I'm not. So you're talking to me about Minnesota. I'm not giving up all of that risk. So, like, if I'm sitting there at 4 and those 3 that I would have taken 1 through 3, or if they're gone, Carlsson, Fantilli, Bedard, I'm not giving anything up to move up for that shot at Michkov. Like, I'm taking him knowing that I'm not giving up Kalen Addison, another first-round pick, a second-round pick, whatever you want to add to that package. That's my rationale. Like, I'm not going to give up pieces. First of all, because we all know Kalen Addison can play right now in the NHL. He did it.
Well, no, he can't.
Not here.
But so I think we're going back and forth here a lot. My point is you have a blue chip talent, because I think we can both agree that like the top 8 to 12 are like guys that you're pretty fucking excited about. Why are you passing on a guy that you're that excited about when, yes, Michkov, the ceiling is ridiculous, but we've got all the risks that you just said? Like, why is it worth it to take
him
risks
without giving up anything else?
You're giving up the opportunity to draft that other player.
So look at every team, though, that has that shot, right? They've either got a ton of first round picks this year and next year, or they've already got the prospect pool. Like the Montreal Canadiens, if they have their shot at Carlson or Michkov, I'm going to puke. And it sounds like they're going to, because they've already got Slavkovsky. Suzuki's 19. No, I know he's not actually 19, but he's young. He's this young stud. Cole Caulfield. Like they've got these insane prospects already. And more first round picks.
Right. So, but we're not talking about them. We're talking about the Sharks at 4. The Sharks don't have as good of a prospect pool. They don't have multiple firsts. What's different?
They do.
What's their other first?
They got a late first round pick.
26. You're right.
But that's also a team where, I mean, I guess in that vein, it's like similar to a Minnesota situation. Like they're not in a rush to get, like, they don't need him to come over next year.
Right.
They still have solid prospects up front. They've got fucking Eklund, who's a fucking beauty. Oh my God.
I love Eklund. What else?
They've got.
Continue. What? Go ahead.
Yeah, they've got those guys, but again, they're not trading sure things, because we could say what we want about all these guys. We still, I mean, realistically, like how many top 10 picks just don't pay? The fucking Islanders took Michael Dalcole 5th or 4th overall. Like, so am I taking the swing if I'm not giving anything up? Yeah. Because I still think it is likely that he comes over. I still think it's likely.
They're not sure things, Z. You say that they're not sure things. The guys that are getting picked shortly after Michkov. What's sure about the Wild's first this year or next year? What's sure about Marco Rossi? What's sure about Kalen Addison? There's nothing sure about those players.
Mm-hmm. Well, so again, my whole point is the fact that you don't have to move things you already have. Like you're not, again, like Kalen Addison is nasty.
So what the difference is, you don't have to convince me of that. You need to convince Bill Guerin and Dean Evison of that. My point is you're assuming that there's no cost, and I'm saying that the cost is an opportunity cost. You can pick one of those other players that's right there. And I'm saying, like, I mean, we've gone back and forth forever here.
I guess at the bottom line, there's no real answer. So the bottom line is there's no definitive answer. Like the answer comes 5 years from now, right? Like,
well, that's what I'm asking you, though. I'm asking you why for the Wild, the risk is too much to assume, but for the San Jose Sharks, the risk is not too much to assume.
Because the Sharks aren't trying to be good right now. The Wild are trying to be good. Doesn't
sound like the Wild are.
What do you mean?
Losing in the first round is considered success.
You think they wanted to lose the first round?
No.
Fucking what?
I'm just saying it's been made very clear that they don't see themselves as cup contenders until we get out of the buyouts. That means there's one season where you're maybe a cup contender where you don't have this asset, and then the very next year, boom.
Well, okay. Want to be a cup. Hold on. Because that was.
I didn't say they don't want to be. They don't see themselves as cup contenders.
If they were like fully like, yeah, we're not good. Like, I don't see them wanting to be like, yeah, let's just keep being average.
How do you stop being average when you basically are running back the same team next year, no matter what?
Great question, Hoppy.
That's my point, though. Like, we're like, this isn't saying like Bill Guerin's like, yeah, fuck it, I don't want to contend. It's the reality that he's basically between the lines. You say it like he doesn't say all that much, but there's things you can pick up on if you listen to him, where he's basically saying like, no, it's not a failure, but also like we're pretty fucking pissed. But he's flat out said we are not in a place to contend. And until the buyouts are gone, they're really not going to be. Nothing's going to change. They can't make wholesale changes on this roster unless they want to move a big piece, which I don't think they're ready to give up on a Kaprizov or a Boldy, right? So they're not going to move a Spurgeon or a Brodin. Like, those are the big contracts. So until that happens, we're in a spot where this team, hey, They're going to do everything they can each year to win, but they're not changing anything to really make an impact. That tells me that you don't really see your team as a true contender for the Stanley Cup. That doesn't mean you can't be a 100-point regular season team. That doesn't mean that maybe you don't come in and win a playoff round. But I don't think Bill Guerin, like truth serum, if you ask him, are you guys winning the cup the next 2 years? He's like, fuck no.
You don't think that there's any world where he would say?
I'm saying this is like truth serum. Like, he can't lie. His actual opinion, I don't think he thinks that they can win the cup the next 2 years until these buyouts are gone. And that's not saying there's 0% chance. That's saying you're not really a true contender, though.
I don't know about that. Like, do you think, like Florida, you could have said the same thing. Here they are. They take down the Boston Bruins, about to take down the Toronto Maple Leafs.
It's hockey. What Zito thinks.
I mean, I don't know.
But again, Zito made wholesale fucking changes on his roster. He brought in a Matthew Tkachuk, moved out a Huberdeau and a Uyghur. Bill Guerin isn't making those wholesale changes. They brought in a completely new coach that you have been on record saying was the big difference in winning the coaching duel between them and the Bruins. The Wild are not making these changes. Same head coach. They're keeping the majority of their roster intact. I don't see that being an apples to apples comparison with Florida.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I guess at that point, it kind of becomes all right, if you don't think you're an absolute contender, if you don't think that you're going to win the Stanley Cup, then you should just go full tank.
But is it full tank to trade 1 or 2 firsts and a prospect to get a guy like Michkov, who you have said could be every bit as good as Bedard?
Again,
I don't see that as tanking.
I also can't see any team being insane enough to give up those guys, like those big pieces that are like either established or pretty established or close to being established at least.
But you don't think it's equally? But how are those pieces established? I don't like Addison out of the equation. We've talked about that. Rossi is not established. No one in the world thinks he's established. Is he?
I don't know.
I'm not saying that he's.
I'm giving up on him.
I'm not saying he's a bust, and I'm not giving up on him. But to say he's established is a completely different thing.
No. I said established or close to being established. I think he could be close to being established.
Do you think that Marco Rossi is close to being established
as an NHL player?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you think he knows? Do you think he needs another 2 years in fucking Iowa to marinate?
No, I don't think that. That's not the point. The point is, it is
okay. So I'm not doing the Rossi then.
Huh?
I'm not giving up Rossi.
Okay.
Not giving up Addison.
Okay. Would you give up this year's and next year's first, then the second?
No.
Nothing established. Way later picks. Nope. Michkov's got the upside. You're just saying no because the risk. And I'm saying, I think there's equal amount of risk to take him instead of a Benson or a Smith.
I mean, again, I don't think so.
Okay. That was the discussion. That's all I wanted. You don't think that risk is the same?
No, I don't think that risk is equal at all. I don't think it's close.
Okay.
Just giving up on the guys that you either have or giving up on like multiple futures for the one pick. No, I don't think so.
Fair enough.
And I do think there is and again, I love this. Everyone loves this draft. There is still a sizable gap between like the upper echelon top guys versus the next group. So
where's that break?
It really it's probably right around Michkov.
Okay.
Even then, it's still a profile thing. So like, that's the kid that's a 5'10" right wing. Like, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm maybe it's me that's in the minority, but like, I'm at the point where
I would assume that everyone will agree with you over me.
Well, I don't know. Cause I think because again, we're even seeing conversations in the league that are like a lot of the scouts are saying, yeah, no, he'll probably slip. But there's other guys. I think with the Michkov thing, I think it's very much just like you'll talk to one person, they'll say one thing, and then another person with the same job but for a different team would be like, "Fuck that."
Oh, totally. No,
it's crazy.
It's super intriguing, though, right? Like,
because he's so fucking nasty.
Would you agree that this is the storyline of the draft?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And like, it's funny too because like the envy is to be the team that doesn't have to make that choice. Like, right. If you're picking third, if you're the Columbus Blue Jackets, you're like, this is great. Other than the fact that you fucking
want Will Smith.
Yeah. But like the Bedard, Fantilli / Michkov, what like those conversations, decisions are made for you. And you're just like, thank you. Like, I will take this prospect here. But then, like, after that, like, I would be pissed, honestly, if I was picking, like, 6th. And I'm like, oh, God. They're letting Michkov slip.
What do I do?
It's crazy. Like,
but I do think, personally, if San Jose doesn't take him, he has to go to Montreal or Arizona because both of them have prospects built up. Montreal can afford to wait. Arizona's got a lot of shit to figure out before they're on the up and up anyways. So like both teams have time. I think that's where my cutoff is. If he makes it past 6, I'm going to be fascinated.
Yeah. Cause Philly doesn't want to be Philly. They don't want to be shit for that long.
Oh no. Philly needs to be fixed immediately. They won't allow that.
And then it's Washington. They want to be good, but at the same time,
Washington would probably do it. I don't know how
they have to. You could have Mirosh and fucking Michkov in a couple of years. That's insane.
And like you said,
if he goes beyond, yeah, exactly. He's never gonna. I will die of natural causes before that guy is done playing in the NHL. If he goes later than that, I don't know. It's at the point then where like you're the other team's like, motherfucker. Like,
if it's after that, I'm just praying that he goes to Pittsburgh. Fuck it.
Well, I mean, at that point, like you've got St. Louis who has 2 or 3 first-round picks. Detroit, they've got 2. Like they're like,
true. Okay. Yeah, St. Louis can't afford to pass. You're right.
There's like
I don't know. Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. There's our first that
was a 25-minute conversation.
Somewhat debate. Isha and I do that 2 or 3 times an episode, so rare for you and I, but I don't know. I'm pretty
not
it warranted the conversation.
Oh, I think it did. And I'm pretty bad on the spot at like going back and forth, so I bet more people are on your side. I bet I made no sense.
Honestly, no, I think people are just like, yeah, whatever Z said, I agree with. That other guy's a fucking idiot.
We'll find out. I don't even know. Yeah, I don't even know what I said. Tomorrow I'll tweet the exact opposite opinion.
And I'll be like
give up Rossi, Addison. You know what? Fucking give up Faber. Move up to the San Jose.
Oh, and I'll text you on the side. I'll be like, dude, do you remember our conversation yesterday? He's like, I fucking talked to you yesterday.
I'll be like, yo, we recorded again? All right.
Oh shit, there's a new episode out. I wonder who recorded. Oh fuck, that's me. Okay.
Oh shit, that was me. I'm curious. I am curious how like the general public feels about it though. Like,
I think the general public is looking to people like you to tell them how to feel because they don't have a fucking clue. And that's general public, right? I think the people that follow prospects more closely, like you said, there's going to be a wide range of thoughts. But I think the general public is just like, what's the deal? We hear this guy's really good. We hear he's not going to go early. Like, what are we supposed to think here?
Yeah. And again, like I've said it before, and we can sign off after this, but like, even if you just wanted to use this year as a barometer, this kid went to one of the worst hockey teams on the fucking planet. At one point, they were on a 23-game losing streak. As a draft eligible and put up 20 points in 27 games in the KHL. That is insane to do with a good team where you're all power play, get your cookies. And this kid literally like also got better defensively, by the way, but just pure production, just stat sheet stuff. 20 points in fucking 27 KHL games as a draft eligible on, I'm not kidding, like one of the worst hockey teams I've ever watched in my life. Like they were on a 22 or 23 game losing streak.
Nice.
And then he went over there. I think they were like right around 500 like by himself as an undersized winger. It's crazy. So there you go. Maybe you're right. And maybe you should give up whatever you got to give up to get up there. There you go.
Oh, I'm very much a devil's advocate. I don't strongly believe that. It's more based on how strongly you've spoken for him.
Yeah.
That like, that's where my brain's at. It's like, why the fuck wouldn't you do this? But
yeah. And especially if you've given up on Addison, if you like, it's always Addison too, that we come back. Cause it's like the one guy that like, it's like the one young player that they're like, yeah, we've given up. No, we haven't given up. Yeah, no, we gave up though.
No, we absolutely haven't. Then he picks up like 3 different phone calls. Like, oh yeah, he's for sure available.
Yeah, for Beaulieu. Yeah. Nathan Beaulieu. Yeah. Absolutely. 1 for 1. Yeah. Please. Thank you. There you go. So there you go. Like again, so it is always Addison though. We come back to like, so like if you're gonna include a big prospect, it's this guy, obviously. Because they're like, yo, fuck this kid. So there you go. If you've given up on a prospect like that, and that's all it takes to move the needle, maybe you just do it then. But whatever. We'll find out.